I could get everyone's attention, we're going to get the House Judiciary Committee to order. We have a good agenda today, and a new legislative assistant, Maya Fitterer, has joined us. So if everyone can just respect that this is Maya's first meeting, and she's going to tackle everyone's names as best as she can. But we're excited to have Maya with us. So if Maya Secretary could please call the roll.
Thank you for the warm welcome, Chairman. Chairman Briggs.
Present.
Representatives Carroll.
Designation.
Donahue. Hanbidge.
Designation.
Hohenstein. Howard.
Designation.
Kenyatta.
Designation.
Kincaid. Mays.
Designation.
Miller.
Designation.
Pielli. Rabb. Here. Sanchez.
Here.
Schusterman. Chairman Kaufman.
Here.
Representatives Bonner. Borowitz. Ecker. Ham. Kale.
Designation.
Kerwin. Clunk.
Designation.
Kuzma.
Designation.
Ledbetter. Rigby. Shalaba.
Very impressive. Thank you, Secretary. First up on, we have a quorum. First up on the agenda is House Bill 167 by Representative Bonner. I'll need a motion on the bill by Chairman Kaufman, seconded by Representative Schusterman. Council, please provide a brief description of House Bill 167.
Mr. Chairman, House Bill 167 amends Title 20, Section 3101B to increase the amount that a financial institution may release to a family member of a deceased individual from $10,000 to $20,000 if the family member presents a bill that verifies funeral expenses have been paid. The priority for distribution is to the spouse, any child, a parent, any sister or brother of the deceased. Mr. Chairman, the bill will help families avoid the costly probate process when there are minimal assets in the estate. The bill takes effect in 60 days and there are no amendments.
Thank you, Council. I will recognize Representative Bonner, and I'm going to underline this, for brief comments on his bill. Representative Bonner, you're in order.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your calling this bill this early in the session. And it is a repeat of a bill.
Representative Bonner, if you could pull the mic a little bit closer, I'm not
It is a
every word.
repeat
Thank you.
of a bill that this committee had passed in our last session. In 2013, a law was passed that gave the right of a surviving family member to withdraw up to $10,000 from a financial institution in the event of a death of a loved one, provided that account was solely in the name of the decedent. It's now been 12 years since that bill has passed, and we have found that the amount of $10,000 is relatively low, and we are looking to increase it through this legislation to $20,000. There are some safeguards in place. In order to have the money withdrawn, it must be a closely related immediate family member. There must be adequate proof that the funeral bill has been attended to. And if such is the case, then the money can be released to one of several defined immediate family members. That money can then go to finish the payment of the funeral bill, to address some other needed expenses within the household. However, it does not escape inheritance tax. So the Department of Revenue, I'm sure, is very pleased with the bill. But it does reflect the inflation between 2013 and 2025. And it also reflects the fact that if we do not increase the legislation, most likely an attorney will be involved in securing the funds from a lending institution. And typically the cost, the attorney and the court costs runs about $1,500. So this is a cost-saving method to release the funds to the family member as well. So I would ask for your support for the legislation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Thank you, Representative Bonner. Are there any comments or questions for Representative Bonner on the bill? Seeing none, are there any? Well, I want to thank Representative Bonner for his persistence on this. I know it's been brought up a few times and out of committee, and we did talk about trying to do it on the earlier side of the session to try to give you a chance to get floor action. Are there any negative votes on the bill? Seeing none, if the secretary could please record a unanimous vote for House Bill 167, we will report it to the floor as recommended. So next on the agenda is a good bipartisan bill, House Bill 355 by Representative Pielli and Representative Diorsi. I'll need a motion to consider House Bill 355 by Representative Kincaid, seconded by Chairman Kaufman. I will allow both Representative Pielli and Representative Diorsi to make some brief comments on the bill before we can hear from the council. Representative, should we do the description first or the comments? Dave? Oh. Okay. Okay, we're going to hear from the council first, and then we'll hear from the representatives. Thank you, Council Vitale.
Mr. Chairman, House Bill 355 by Representative Pielli and Representative Diorsi amends Title 18, Section 6301, Corruption of Minors, to increase the grading to a third-degree felony if a person in a position of authority corrupts the morals of a minor. And the bill also makes a second-degree felony if a person in a position of authority corrupts the morals of a minor in the commission of a sexual offense under Chapter 31. The bill takes effect in 60 days, and there's one amendment.
Council, you are in order on the amendment.
Mr. Chairman, Amendment 00211 directs the Pennsylvania Commission on Sentencing to provide a sentencing enhancement under Section 6301, Corruption of Minors, where the defendant is a mandatory reporter as defined under Title 23, Section 6311. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so we're going to be discussing the amendment, and then we'll go to the prime sponsors. I'm going to be moving, well, it's the Briggs Amendment, so I'll need a motion on the amendment. Kincaid, seconded by Representative Rabb. Council, you're in order on amendment. Did you talk about it? Okay, you did already. We're a little bit out of order. Are there any comments or questions on the amendment? So I introduced this amendment after talking with both prime sponsor and prime sponsor talking with the co-prime and some stakeholders as well as Republican counsel. We feel this is a good, more focused approach to accomplish the goal in a tighter fashion. So I will be encouraging all folks to be voting yes on the Briggs Amendment. I would hope I would do that. Are there any negative votes on the amendment? Seeing none, I will ask the secretary record amendment 211 as passing unanimously. Now we have the bill as amended ready. If Representative Pielli could start off, and then we'll recognize Rep. Diorsi. Representative Pielli, you're in order.
Thank you, Chairman. It's an unfortunate truth that too often people with authority in our society who serve as mentors and role models abuse their position and prey on minors. A recent large-scale multi-state survey of high school graduates found that educator sexual misconduct is unfortunately widespread. And of the 6,632 participants that were surveyed, nearly 12% reported experiencing at least one form of educator sexual misconduct during grades K to 12. Though reporting rates are traditionally low, of those that are reported, many cases do not result in a conviction or significant sentencing. Nationally, over the last few years, nearly 1,900 state and local law enforcement officers were charged with these related crimes. Experts believe that there are so many more instances that go unreported due to fear of retribution, shame, and lack of victim support. Of those that were reported, many of these perpetrators received lesser plea deals. The truth is, those who should know better and aren't necessarily being held to the proper standard. And that's not right, it's not fair, and that's not the way our justice system should function. We hold those who protect and educate our children to the highest standard. Violation of that standard deserves appropriate penalties to ensure that those who use their authority to prey on a child are punished, and hopefully to ensure that these abuses never happen again. We tell our children not to trust strangers. We tell our children that what they should do when a stranger approaches them. But we also tell our children that they can trust a teacher. They can trust a police officer. How can we allow those who break that sacred trust to those they're supposed to serve, to their community, to continue to benefit from institutional leniencies they do not deserve? This bill would provide for an extra accountability should a person in a trusted position of authority over children decide to use their influence to harm a child that should instead be helped by them. Our most precious resource as a community, as a nation, is our children. As such, it is imperative that we take steps to keep them as safe as possible from those who might abuse their position to irreparably harm them. This legislation, as amended, allowing for sentencing enhancements for a person in a position of authority and mandatory reporters, is a step in the right direction. I want to thank all those who came out in support of this legislation, to include Chairman Briggs and staff with the amendment that they worked so hard on with the stakeholders. I want to thank my co-prime sponsor and author of this bill in the last session, Representative Dorsey, for all of his help with this bill. It was his commitment, it was his caring, his perseverance that enabled this bill to go forward, and I thank him for that. And finally, I'd like to thank the brave young woman, Grace McGee, who is here today. Thank you, Grace, for the courage that you've shown, for coming forward and sharing your story to Rep. Dorsey and myself, and in turn, putting a face of strength and resilience to all those victims who had to endure such injustice, but chose to live another day and fight for what is right. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you all.
Representative Pielli. Representative Dorsey, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thanks to Chairman Briggs, Chairman Kaufman, and the esteemed members of the House Judiciary Committee. And a special thank you to Representative Pielli for taking up the mantle on this important initiative. I'm grateful for the collaboration and for your leadership on this issue. House Bill 1847 of the 23-24 session was inspired by a meeting I took in my district with a constituent whose story broke my heart. Chris and Grace, who are with us here today, deserve a lot of credit for their bravery and their advocacy for minor victims who are taken advantage of by people with positions of authority. Although Chris and his daughter Grace have endured a lot of personal pain, their focus in this fight for justice over the last several years has been wholly targeted at protecting children in the future who might fall prey to someone using their position to exploit them. Chris's steadfast and persistent attitude in advocating for victims, raising awareness, and relentlessly contacting and meeting with lawmakers is one of the chief reasons we're here today. The other reason is that of Rep. Pielli's advocacy. I'm proud of this bipartisan effort, and I would ask my colleagues to please consider it favorably. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative. Are there any comments or questions on the bill, House Bill 355? Representative Kincaid, you're in order on House Bill 355.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will say, pretty universally, I am opposed to sentencing enhancements because far too often we use them as a way to say that we are attempting to prevent crime. And the simple fact of the matter is that the punishment for a crime is not actually a deterrent for someone committing the underlying offense, because most people or all people have no idea what kind of punishment they are facing if they commit a crime. It's swiftness and it's certainty of punishment that deters crime. However, I am supportive of this bill because it does what a sentencing enhancement is supposed to do, which is to hold extra accountable someone who has abused the public trust in a far more egregious way. Someone who has used a position of authority, of trust that we inherently give to them because of their position to harm the people who they are supposed to be protecting and serving. So for that reason, I am incredibly supportive of this, because this does what a sentencing enhancement is intended for, which is to provide additional punishment for the extra betrayal of what we as a society hold dear. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative Kincaid. Any other comments or questions on House Bill 355? Are there any negative votes on House Bill 355? Seeing none, if the Secretary could please report a unanimous vote, and we will report it as amended. Thank you. Congratulations, Representative. Okay. Next up is House Bill 591 by Representative Nielsen. I'll need a motion to consider House Bill 591 by Representative Pielli, seconded by Representative Donahue. Council, please provide a brief description of House Bill 591.
Mr. Chairman, House Bill 591 by Chairman Nielsen amends the PA Commission on Crime and Delinquency law to establish a fund to pay up to $50,000 to individuals who provide information leading to the capture and arrest of an individual convicted of murder or criminal homicide of a law enforcement officer. The fund shall consist of appropriations from the General Assembly to the Constable William Davidson Reward Fund. The fund is named after the first recorded law enforcement officer killed in the line of duty in Pennsylvania in 1825. Mr. Chairman, the bill takes effect in 60 days, and there are no amendments.
Thank you, Council. Are there any comments on the bill? Representative Rabb on House Bill 591.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Similar to the previous bill, which I supported, is the selection of a subset of our population that our government and our society believes deserves special attention in light of the roles they serve. And I certainly think this applies to law enforcement officers, particularly in light of the inherently dangerous nature of their vocation. I think it's also important to recognize that there are other folks who are on the front lines who deal with violence every day. And while I will be voting yes in committee, I have a concern about the populations that we select to the exclusion of others who deserve similar protections and rigorous support in meaningful ways. And I guess my last point is, and perhaps PCCD has done this research, but I would like to know the efficacy of these funds in such that they can actually facilitate pursuing the perpetrators of violence against law enforcement officers and anyone else. I think if we're going to continue introducing legislation like this and passing legislation, we want it to be evidence-based. And I'm hoping that PCCD and perhaps other research entities can provide us information to confirm that these approaches are actually effective. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative. Any other comments or questions on House Bill 591? Are there any negative votes on House Bill 591? Seeing none, if the Secretary could please record a unanimous vote, and we will report it to the floor as such. Thank you, Representatives. Next on our advertised agenda, last on the advertised agenda, we may have some other business, is House Bill 615 by Representative Khan and Tom Jones. I will need a motion made by Chairman Kaufman, seconded by Representative Pielli. I'm sorry, Hanbidge. Saw the wrong hand go up. Seconded by Representative Hanbidge. You know what? I'm going to cross Hanbidge out. Representative Schusterman had this bill a number of sessions ago. Would Representative Schusterman be interested in second it? Okay, thank you. Seconded by Representative Schusterman. Council, please provide a brief description of House Bill 615.
Mr. Chairman, House Bill 615 by Representative Khan and Representative Tom Jones amends the Donated Food Limited Liability Act to expand civil and criminal immunity for persons who donate food that is past the label date code recommended by the manufacturer, but is still fit for human consumption. The person who donates the food must make a good faith evaluation that the donated food is good for human consumption. The immunity shall not extend to donors where damages result from the negligence, recklessness, or intentional misconduct of the donor, or if the donor has or should have had actual or constructive knowledge that the food is tainted, contaminated, or harmful to the health or well-being of the ultimate recipient. The bill takes effect immediately, and there are no amendments.
Thank you, Council. I will at this time recognize Representative Khan and Representative Jones, and you heard what I said to Representative Bonner, though I let him go a little bit for brief comments on the bill. You're in order, Representative Khan.
Thank you, Chair Briggs. Thank you, Chair Kaufman. I appreciate the opportunity to testify very briefly about our bill. This is a bipartisan bill, something that's supported by the administration and the Hunger Caucus. The issue is that in Pennsylvania, there's about 1.2 million families who are food insecure. These are individuals who are having problems getting access to food, and about a quarter of those people are children. And so this bill that we've worked on, I'm very proud to have worked on in the last session with the gentleman from Snyder, and this session with the gentleman from Lancaster, on this bill that just makes a very small adjustment to the current food donation limited liability bill that would allow food that is past its peak freshness date to still be donated. And this is something that is necessary for groups like food stores that are donating excess food that ordinarily would be thrown in the trash, but because of it might be passed by a few days, they're unable to donate this food. So this bill addresses food waste, but most critically, it addresses food insecurity by helping these families get access to this food that is good. And Representative Jones?
Thank you, Chairman Briggs. Thank you, Chairman Kaufman. It is a pleasure to join together with my colleague from Philadelphia, Representative Khan, on introducing this legislation. This is good legislation where we can come together and just put one more tool in the toolbox of addressing the need of hunger and food insecurity. This is a great tool to allow individuals who might have been hesitant to donate food, would have otherwise thrown good food in the trash. We can help alleviate hunger in this way because they'll be able to donate stuff that's past its use-by date, not expired food, but it's good food. And there's so many great organizations in our community that need our help in this realm to address the issue of food insecurity and hunger. And so this is a great opportunity for us to come together and do something really good. Thank you.
Thank you, Representatives. Chair of the Hunger Caucus, Representative Kincaid, you're in order.
Thank you, Chairman. And yes, as House Chair of the Hunger Caucus, this is an incredibly important bill because we are just seeing continuously year over year an increase in food insecurity. Food insecurity is worse now than it was during the pandemic, and it continues to get worse. And with the uncertainty at the federal level when it comes to funding for SNAP benefits, when it comes to funding for our charitable food network, we need to open all avenues to be able to ensure that our neighbors can eat. food insecurity touches every single community, every municipality. It is in every one of our districts. There is nowhere that is untouched by food insecurity, and addressing it is the simplest, most obvious thing to do. So I am excited that we are bringing up this legislation, and I will just mention that following this meeting, there is a conversation in room 124 of this building about the state of food insecurity in Pennsylvania with our charitable food network. So I would encourage all to come. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative. Are there any other comments or questions on House Bill 615? It is an important bill, especially with such uncertainty that is going to be facing our food delivery efforts. So I think this is a great bill. I know it passed out of the House last year, went through the Ag Committee. Again, as soon as it came to us, we wanted to try to put it on the agenda as quickly as possible. Are there any negative votes on House Bill 615? Seeing none, if the Secretary could please record a unanimous vote, and we will refer it to the floor as such. So thank you very much. Congratulations, folks. Sorry. Finally, not on the agenda, but under any other business, last night we were referred a resolution, House Resolution 143 by Representative Miller. Could I get a motion to consider House Resolution 143 by Kincaid, seconded by Pielli, our resident public defender? Council, please provide a brief description of House Bill 143.
Mr. Chairman, House Resolution 143 by Representative Miller is a resolution recognizing March 18th, 2025 as Public Defender Day in the Commonwealth. There is one amendment introduced by Chairman Kaufman.
Thank you. As this is a bill that is being added under any other business, an amendment is timely as long as it's provided in a written format according to our rules, which it has, and it's in everyone's binder or packet. So I am agreeing to this amendment. I will make a motion for the amendment, seconded by Donahue. Are there Council is in order on the amendment?
Yeah.
Okay. Council's in order on the amendment, then we'll go to the maker of the amendment.
Mr. Chairman, the amendment takes out language referring to appropriations and focuses the resolution solely on recognizing March 18th as Public Defender Day in the Commonwealth.
Thank you, Council. Chair Kaufman, you are in order if you like.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your collaboration on this. The amendment simply removes language relating to state appropriations for indigent defense. Obviously, this is an issue that could be of substantive discussion in the budget season, but not necessarily appropriate for a resolution of this type. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Kaufman. Are there any comments? Did anyone need a little bit extra time to review the amendment? I know it's coming kind of quick. And in the spirit of passing this in a bipartisan way, I think it's important to strongly consider it. So any other comments or questions? Representative Rabb.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I feel the section that was removed is entirely appropriate. I think when we do substantive resolutions to lift up these issues, providing appropriate context makes perfect sense. And it's part of the impetus around acknowledging the important work and the struggles that public defenders face every day. So for that reason, I oppose the amendment.
Thank you, Representative Rabb. Any other comments or questions? Representative Kincaid on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am also going to have to oppose this amendment. I think the reality is that the context that we still are not adequately funding our public defenders, especially in the state of Pennsylvania, 62 years after the Gideon v. Wainwright decision that guaranteed a right to counsel in criminal matters is essential. We don't adequately fund our public defenders, and we are causing an extreme strain on our system as a result. People are entitled to a defense, and we don't provide an adequate defense to those individuals when we fail to adequately fund our public defenders. And taking that context out of this resolution really does a disservice to the service of our public defenders, because we need to acknowledge the reality here. So I will also be a no on this.
Thank you, Representative Kincaid. Are there any other comments or questions on the amendment? Before we go to a roll call, I do think the budget angle of this should be debated aggressively during the budget process, and don't think it's necessarily relevant on the resolution to name it March 18th, last week, Public Defender Day. But if the Secretary could, this is our first roll call, right? So this is going to be exciting. Secretary, please do a roll call on Amendment 229.
Chairman Briggs?
Yes.
Representatives Carroll,
Designation, yes.
Donahue, Hanbidge, Hohenstein,
Designation, yes.
Howard,
Designation, yes.
Kenyatta,
Designation, yes.
Kincaid, Mays,
Designation, yes.
Miller,
I'm going to change his designation and say designation, no.
Pielli, Rab, Sanchez, Schusterman, Chairman Kaufman,
Yes.
Representatives Bonner, Borowitz, Ecker, Ham, Kale,
Designation, yes.
Kerwin, Clunk,
Designation, yes.
Kuzma,
Designation, yes.
Ledbetter, Rigby, Shalaba. This amendment passes 26-3.
Thank you, Secretary. Amendment passes 23-3. Are there, on the resolution as amended, are there any comments on the resolution as amended? Seeing none, is there any negative votes on the resolution as amended? Seeing none, if the Secretary could please report that as unanimous, passes, and we will report it to the floor. Before we close, I know I sent an email last week. We will, I sent out a kind of a save the date on a roundtable discussion at SCI Cole Township. The deadline to confirm your attendance, there is a limit on the folks that are participating of a total of 100. So if you would like to attend, the deadline to respond is March 31st. I will be sending out additional emails. This is being organized by Speaker McClinton, Chairman Jordan Harris, myself, Department of Corrections, and a number of organizations putting together a good agenda to discuss issues that we tackle. We will be sending out more information. Please reach out to me or my staff if you have any questions. Just wanted to flag that date. Representatives, have a nice day, and this meeting is adjourned.